What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So we've been talking a while about Sony and their PlayStation 5 with the potential for customization around those outer shells that can be removed. Well, it looks like a patent has been found online that could be pointing towards Sony actually trying to make that a reality. We're going to go over that one here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Black Friday sales that have gone live earlier this week, and I gotta say, this might be the cheapest we'll ever see some of these first-party Switch titles. And we're also going to be talking about Spider-Man, who's going into that Avengers game later on this month. Unfortunately, it's not exactly what people were expecting. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below and ring that notification bell so you can keep up to date with all the uploads here on the channel. And we're going to start today with Hideo Kojima and Kojima Productions. Now, we know Kojima has expressed a lot of interest in film and movies and TV and all of this. I mean, Death Stranding is made that very clear, bringing in as many actors and actresses and all these people in from Hollywood to make that game happen. Well, it looks like he's now made that official. We can see this over on GamesIndustry.biz, saying Kojima Productions launches new film, TV, and music division. They've also brought in Riley Russell, who was at PlayStation for about 28 years. He goes on to say the new division will be tasked with working with creative and talented professionals in television, music, and film, as well as the more familiar games industry. The team has, as its charter, the goal of expanding the reach and awareness of the properties now under development at Kojima Productions and to make them even more part of our popular culture. I mean, if you think about what we've seen with things on Netflix like the Witcher series, when that series came out there on Netflix, it actually spiked sales of The Witcher 3. So maybe Kojima's thinking, I could develop a game and then also a TV show, a series that I could sell out to like Netflix, something like that, release them around the same time, and you can kind of build out this lore across all these different platforms and medium. Or maybe he's just looking at this like, hey, you know what? I've always wanted to create a movie or a TV series or something there, and I'll kind of have that off on its own. So expected, yes, but I'm curious to see how this actually unfolds going forward. Also, we have a bit of an update when it comes to Bobby Kotick and Activision. With the entire situation there, we can see this over on Engadget, citing the Wall Street Journal, saying Activision Blizzard CEO will consider leaving if problems aren't solved quickly. According to the Journal, Kotick left open the possibility of a resignation if he couldn't fix the company's problems with speed. I think at this point, he's kind of laying the groundwork for, okay, maybe this is an exit strategy here, because he's going to get paid a ton of money no matter what happens. He stays there, he gets a bunch of money, he leaves, they give him a really nice severance package, and he heads off with tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions for all we know. But it's pretty clear a lot of the unrest right now with the employees, the developers, all of this there at Activision Blizzard comes down to Bobby Kotick still being the CEO of Activision, so that might just be it. I mean, I don't think he's going to fix this anytime soon or with speed, so maybe he's just kind of putting it out there like, hey, you know what, I stepped aside for the betterment of the company, excuse me, while I just kind of wheelbarrow the piles of cash out the door now to my car. Oh, and for everyone who was able to pre-order an Analogue Pocket when they first went live, it looks like they will be shipping out here pretty soon. We can see this over on their website with the announcement. The Pocket shipping December 13th. This was a press release put out yesterday, just going over the pre-orders being made available and then shipping out mid-December. They have the date for December 13th, but I mean, we know shipping times and stuff around the holiday season can be kind of difficult and at times delayed. They say due to unprecedented shipping congestion, your order will ship and be delivered between December 14th and December 30th. So I'm very excited to see how this goes with the Analogue Pocket. From what they've really built up here, it seems like it's going to be the ultimate handheld, the ultimate Game Boy, and I'll do my best to get my hands on one of these so we can take a look, tear it down, and do just like kind of a full impressions and review on it in a video. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Sony, the PlayStation 5, and the possibility of customizing your system without having to paint it or go to a third party for a skin or even shells. We've seen D-Brand do quite a bit with that, even fighting back and forth with Sony. But it looks like maybe Sony could have plans of their own when it comes to this, as a new patent was discovered. It was filed last week on the 16th of November, and it appears to cover a couple of different things here with the appearance of your PlayStation 5 system. It was spotted originally. We can see this over on OP Attack saying Sony has a patent for PS5 covers and skin. Various instances have been making the news recently about Sony leaning on creators and manufacturers that are creating PS5 covers and skins without their permission. Now a patent for those sorts of covers and skins have been listed for Sony, hinting at their future plans for decorating PlayStation 5 consoles. We can see an image here, a kind of a figure 3 and 4, showing off both covers. And I do wonder if Sony has this plan, like, to actually come out with different covers to go alongside of big reveals. They also mentioned skins, and you can see some of the official patent here. My thing with this is there is a strong possibility that Sony is doing this just to have it as kind of a legal setup so that different companies like a D-brand, for example, won't just go around making their own covers for the PlayStation 5 the exact same way, and just in case Sony does have that plan, because yeah, there's a chance that Sony's thinking, wait a minute, if a lot of these companies start making these shells, it will make our special edition PlayStation 5s that just had those shells changed out, that'll probably be all they do, look less valuable. So that could be a thing there, just to kind of negate the idea of other companies pursuing this because they have it officially patented here. The skins on the outside, that's a little rough to me because it's just a sticker, but maybe just the form factor. I'm sure you can cut it a couple of different ways and get around that. My hope is that Sony's plan when it comes to special edition systems isn't necessarily to resell like an entire PS5 with different shells on the outside. It's to do something like just release plastic shells that you buy alongside of God of War Ragnarok, or the new Gran Turismo, or maybe get a new Infamous. That would be really cool, right? You have like a nice lightning effect on the side of your PlayStation 5. That, I think, would be the best option overall, right? Because Sony can release them consistently, and we don't have to go out searching for a special edition PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 5, already hard to find, now make it more limited with a special edition, and that's going to be almost impossible. Also, I kind of like the idea of this evolution of the Xbox 360 faceplate. I know not everyone got into it, but it was kind of cool to get a new faceplate for your 360, slap it on the front. It just looks completely different if you have like a shelf or something. Sure, the sides weren't affected, but the PlayStation 5, because the entirety of those shells are replaceable, you could have your PS5 look completely different. We've seen this effect with the different shells, like from D-brand. With their dark plates, it does make the system, I think, look better having it as an all-black setup. Like matte black with that does look very good with kind of the blue lighting when you're playing, shifting to white and all of this, or be able to put one of those clear decals on it to make it any color you want. Still, the customization options around the PS5, it seems set up so well. I'm just hoping that Sony really has plans for it, and this just isn't a deterrent for third parties when they decide to attempt it. Next up, let's talk about Spider-Man finally being added to the Marvel's Avengers game. This is something that people have followed legitimately since the game came out, because when Spider-Man was announced just for the PlayStation side, people figured that he would show up within a month or two, or maybe even be there right away. I believe they did at least mention there'd be DLC coming later ahead of the game's release, but I don't think people thought it would take this long for Spider-Man to be added. And on top of that, it appears to be a bit different than people were expecting. Now, IGN had a full hands-on video, so if you want to see full gameplay of it, you can check it out there. I'll show you some snippets of it here. But the biggest thing is, well, one, Spider-Man looks a little off. I don't know, the fighting looks weird, kind of the acrobatics, the web shooting, just the entire thing doesn't look, I think, what I was expecting myself. Although, to be fair, Insomniac did such a good job with Spider-Man on the PS4, then on the PS5 with the remaster, and then Miles Morales, that it's kind of hard to top that one. But it goes a bit further. People, I think, were expecting there to be some sort of story, downloadable content. You get your own like intro missions, and you kind of work towards adding Spider-Man to the roster there with the Avengers. Appears that Spider-Man just gets dropped in, and there's no story DLC. The way this is going to work is there are audio logs in the game that you come across that tell the story, and then there's like these cutscenes that are just illustrated to work on top of that. Again, seems odd considering Spider-Man is an extremely popular character that you maybe want to build the origin story around for working up to joining the Avengers. And I do wonder if this is an effect of Spider-Man only being available on one platform, that being the PS4 and the PS5. Obviously, Sony worked out a deal to make that happen. Sony has the rights for movies, but I mean, Spider-Man is in Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Switch, so it's not like Spider-Man is necessarily just tied to the PlayStation when it comes to games. And maybe they looked at that and said, well, Spider-Man's not going to be on all the other platforms, so we don't go all out with a story mission and all this extra stuff when we can just do audio logs and we can just do illustrations. And I mean, Spider-Man, he'll kind of sell himself. But for those of you who have been waiting for Spider-Man this entire time, not too much longer, he will be added on November 30th. Yeah, like I said, not exactly people were expecting. The reactions online, a lot of disappointment, but at least they're fulfilling the promise, and he will be there later on this month. Next up, let's talk about a big Black Friday sale that is live right now with GameStop. I was legitimately impressed with some of these prices because we see, obviously, the first-party Nintendo games rarely go on any kind of deep discount. Like, the most we'll see is, oh, look, Breath of the Wild is $45. That's pretty good. No, how about we go down to less than $30? Take a look at this here. These would be all the Switch titles you can currently pick up over on GameStop, and they actually get a little cheaper. So you see like Breath of the Wild at $26.99. If you go down to pre-owned, it's $24.99. They also have New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe at $27, Kirby Star Allies at $27, Astral Chain, that's digital only, but it's the same price there. Then you have Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Fire Emblem, Three Houses, Paper Mario the Origami King, Splatoon 2, hey, Super Monkey Ball, that's $20, not bad there. You have the same deal with Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening at the $27. Then you have several even third-party games with Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD at $25, Catherine at $25, Persona 5 Strikers $35, and the great thing here is these are all physical copies you can get at GameStop, either in-store or online. Also, moving over to the PlayStation side, there's several PS5 titles on sale, like Demon's Souls down to $39.82. Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PS4 down to $29.83. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut on the PS5 down to $50. Lost Judgment, half off there already at $30. That's actually a pretty good pickup there. The Mass Effect Legendary Edition down to $25. There's 13 Sentinels down to $20. Riders Republic, I feel like that game just came out, down to $25. We have Demon Slayer at $35 on the PS5, and even Yakuza Like a Dragon on the PS5 down to $20. We'll also take a look at the Xbox section while we're here. Far Cry 6 already down to $35 alongside of Demon Slayer at $35. There's Riders Republic again at $25. Same with Mass Effect Legendary Edition. If you were someone who was just waiting for MLB The Show 21 to drop in price because maybe you don't have Game Pass or something, that's down to $20 now. NHL 22 down to $26. I have seen people mention that that is actually a really good hockey game, so it's a pretty good price there for that. We also have Lost Judgment down to $30. There's Super Monkey Ball at $20, and even Hitman 3 down to $20. And the list goes on and on and on for these different systems. So I have to hand it to GameStop. They actually have a pretty good Black Friday sale here, and hey, that backlog's never too big, right? And in our last bit of news, let's talk about some good news for Kirby fans, because we did have Kirby and the Forgotten Land revealed in that most recent Direct, and it's exciting stuff to see what they're able to do with a fully 3D Kirby game, the first time we've had that. And it looks like it has been rated by the ESRB, which is good news because that mostly means it's content complete and they're working towards it going gold, which means us getting a release date for it. We can see this ESRB rating was posted up by Stealth, mentioning that Kirby and the Forgotten Land was posted up on the ESRB website, which if you actually go there, it's like the most searched game now. So like I said, Kirby fans are very excited for this one. It's a new direction for the series, and it's one that I think the series needed. So very excited to see how that turns out there. But the fact that it has been rated means, yes, Nintendo announced it basically when they were at least probably 90% aware of when they were going to release it. I don't know if they had the exact release date in mind, but spring 2022, they had that range pretty much locked in. The fact they're getting it rated now is great news. Maybe it could be ready in April. I think that'd be a good April release overall. I don't know if it'll fall to the back end of spring. What would that be, like beginning of June or something there? So excited to see more about Kirby and the Forgotten Land as we head towards its eventual release in spring 2022. Maybe that's one that could get its own little feature or direct where they do like a treehouse for it, because there's still a lot of questions around this fully 3D Kirby game. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a little poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, do you like to customize your game system with things like faceplates, stickers, new shells, anything like that? 20% said yes, I like to make my system unique. 80% said no, I usually just leave the system looking stock. I think it really comes down to how easy it is as well. Like, sure, you can put a sticker on it, but sometimes you get a sticker on one that like has to fold around a handheld or something, and it looks kind of cheap. Whereas if you have something like the PlayStation 5, where you just remove the shell completely and put a new one on, people may be more open to customizing that. And then obviously, if it's easier to get these shells, I think it'd be really cool if Sony not only did some for their first party games, but also partnered with third parties. Let's say Final Fantasy 16 is coming out and they partner with them and have a really good looking set of shells for that. I think that would do very, very well. So here's hoping that Sony actually has plans for that. And like I said, isn't just a deterrent to kind of keep third parties from attempting their own. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Justin saying, we have reached the age of gaming where we need to wait at least 6 months to a year after release for the game to be in a finished state due to patching. Cyberpunk's sales numbers probably told developers that even if the game is broken, you can release it and people will still buy it. And that's kind of the double-edged sort of patching, isn't it? On one hand, it makes sense that something may slip through the cracks and it's good that they can fix it by putting an update out there. Unfortunately, we've been seeing games just ship unfinished or just in such a poor, unoptimized state that you can barely play it. GTA Trilogy is one, Cyberpunk, and even that new Pokemon game was missing stuff on the cartridge. So unfortunately, the limits have kind of been pushed for what patching I think was originally intended for. I mean, back in the day, you buy a PS2 disc, and if there's a game-breaking bug on that disc, that's kind of it. You gotta maybe buy a second run of it or something, and now we're basically just getting betas released that they then patch later. So you're right, it is to the point where we have to be much more mindful of the games that we're maybe pre-ordering digitally weeks in advance. We kind of have to see how these things release first. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Whether it's Sony and their PlayStation 5 shells, would you be interested in buying a couple of different shells? Of course, depending on the themes for them. Also, what about Spider-Man being added into the Avengers? Are you someone who's been waiting for this character to be added? And how do you feel about the lack of story DLC? And then the Black Friday sales at GameStop. Let me know your best suggestions down in the comments. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.